How's everyone doing today? Wait a couple minutes here.
Okay.
Hello. All right, guys. Welcome to this weekly webinar from Local Bartending School. My name is Joey Diaz. I'm Master Bartender for Local Bartending School. I've been with them about 4 years. The topic of today's conversation is going to be about straining and shaking. I'm going to show you a few techniques on how to shake, how to seal your shakers, a couple type of shakers, what not to use for shakers, and different things like that, and then straining as well. Again, guys, if you know people who are interested, please invite them to join us every week. It is free. This is, again, a tool to help you guys become more proficient in your skills of bartending while some of us are still off from work or looking for jobs. So let's get started. There's basically two styles of shakers. You have what's called a standard shaker and what's called a Boston shaker. A standard shaker is basically mostly used, at least nowadays, in your homes. It's basically an all-in-one tool. So what I mean by that is you have your shaker, cup of it, you have your strainer part of it, and when you put that together, you also have your cover here. So then you can shake it, and then this is an all-in-one tool. When you're done, you can take it and then strain it into your glass. Okay, that's why it's called a standard shaker. Another style of shaker, which you'll mostly find in your bars currently, is what's called a Boston shaker, which is basically a shaking glass of some form. And then you use a beer glass. And what you want to do is basically, you're going to put your glass in, and you're going to top it and make sure you have a good seal. And then you will proceed to shake. A good way to tell if you have a good seal is if you can lift it upside down, the glass doesn't fall, you have a good seal. So those are two styles of shakers. Now, how to shake. So first thing you want to do is grab some ice, because the process of shaking is we're chilling our liquid. And for learning purposes, I'm just using water because it's too early for me to start drinking with real liquor. Basically, you pour your count in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then again, you take your glass, you push it in, tap it to make sure. Now I shake with my right hand. So basically what I'm going to do is I put my right hand on top of my glass for stability purposes. It all depends what feels comfortable for you, but your left hand will go here to shake, okay? And then I will shake over my right shoulder. So it's mostly for a guide. So just in case if you don't have a good seal, and when you are shaking, you don't want the glass to fly out. So your hand's there just to make sure that it's stable, okay? You're basically shaking with this hand. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna shake about anywhere between 3 to 6 times. About 3 or 4 times the liquid's already chilled. But sometimes if you go about 4 or 5, it depends. That's probably about the number you wanna shake for, okay, guys? Like, I mean, you don't have to go crazy and like go 10 times. But basically the concept is this: you're gonna go over your shoulder, okay, while you do this. Now, what I also recommend is sometimes you want to cheat. You don't want to go straight back over your shoulder, because when you do that, if you don't have a good seal, you're going to start dripping liquid on your shoulder and so forth. So what I tell students is kind of cheat it a little bit. I'm going to turn sideways just so you guys can see. Okay, so instead of going naturally over your shoulder like this, I tell them to go towards your ear a little bit, okay, in an upward motion. So the liquid stays in your glass instead of falling all over your shoulder, okay? So now to take this off, after we shook it a couple times and you have a seal, it's gonna be hard to get off because you have ice in here and it's getting cold, and when things get cold, it expands and contracts. So there's a couple ways to take off the glass, okay? You can do what's called the throttle method, the gear shift method, which is basically, if anyone ever throws stick shift cars, basically you go front and back, front, back. And that's what you do with this. Okay, you can rock this back and forth until it breaks the seal. Okay, and then once it does, you take it out and you can strain two different ways, and I'll get that in a second. The other way you can get this off, I don't like that way too much because when you're anxious and you're behind a bar, I get that adrenaline. I get scared that I'm going to break the glass when I do that. So what I do is I call what's called the tapping method. And what you do is you take the palm of your hand, okay, and basically at the rim of the glass of the shaker, okay, you're going to take your palm and tap it and then rotate. And you're going to hear it pop. And that's when your glass is loose. And then again, you can proceed with your straining process. Another method that some people use is they like to put a rocks glass into your shaker and use it that way to shake. And then you flip it and then you strain. The only thing I don't like about that is when they flip it and strain it is that you're taking the hand, what your hand was, and you're putting it into the person's liquid. And you're kind of contaminating your drink with your hands. So I don't care if you use this to shake it that way, but when you go to strain it, use a strainer or something else to strain. Don't use like the actual bottom of the glass to touch the liquid. And then your don'ts. One thing that you should not do is ever use two glasses to shake, okay? Even though you might think that you can hold them together and get a good seal, what you're doing is you're rubbing the two glasses together, and God forbid, if there's a chip or something, now you might get glass shards into a person's drink. So don't use two same glasses to use to shake. Straining. Straining is a process of taking the glass, the liquid that's chilled, and putting into your glass, okay? There's two ways that you can strain. You can obviously use a strainer. And once you're done shaking the liquid, tap, take the glass off, and then you can proceed with the strainer. And the strainer basically has a component that's a little lip right there, okay? And basically what that does is when you have your strainer inside your shaker, you put your finger on there and you push it forward, okay, as so. So it holds the ice in there, and then you can proceed to strain into your glass and so forth, okay? Another way is, and this is once you get some practice in and you feel comfortable, is you can use your glass, okay, as your guide. So here we're shaking it, you tap, and what you're doing is you're basically, what I like to say is I'm presenting this drink with this glass because the motion at your hand is basically you're taking from your shaking motion, okay, and you're putting your underhand and you're presenting the drink. And then you slide the glass out so the liquid pours out, and then you just pour it, holding the ice in. Just this up. And when you're done, you just push it back, push it down, and you strain your drink, and you strained the drink, the liquid into the drink. So that is straining. Do we have any questions about straining, about shaking? Oh, one thing about when you do shake, guys, when you mix drinks, do not shake any drink that you have already put soda in. Soda with the carbonation will build like a gas effect. And basically, if you're shaking there's soda in there, it's almost going to be like a rocket, and it's going to pop, and this glass has enough pressure in there that it can pop out and fly out. True story, it's happened to me once. While I was working, I wasn't paying attention. I put soda in, I started shaking, and thank God my finger was there because on my back motion, the glass flowed out and I caught it. And there was a customer there who saw it, so I have a witness. But yes, please do not shake soda because of the carbonation and the pressure. It will like have a tendency to pop that glass out, and that would not be pretty. So that's about shaking. Do we have any questions about shaking, about shakers, about strainers? Sometimes you have to innovate when you depending on the type of bar. The one bar I work at, we use kind of like plastic cups. So we have like plastic cups that we use for our shakers, and like take the glass, and put it like that over it, and then shake that way. Okay, and then so forth and pour out. So sometimes you have to be a little innovative depending where you work, what kind of bar you work at. But there's different options if you use plastic cups like that too. So any questions? I'll open the floor up to you guys again about anything, about me, about bartending, about last week's lesson, about pouring. Next week, we're going to start talking about mixing drinks, how to mix a drink. I'm going to go over recipes, basically how to read a recipe and then break them down into how to make the drink. Depending on time, depending how it goes, I might actually make one or two of those drinks that we go over recipes for tomorrow or next week. Then we're getting into some fun stuff. So that'd be interesting. But any questions today? Joseph, welcome back, buddy.
Thanks. I got part of it.
Yeah, basically, I mean, the motion, like I said, the key thing is animation and the motion. My biggest pet peeve when I go to a bar and someone's shaking their drink, the shaker, and they just have no animation on their face, like they hate their job. You know, understand that people are always watching the bar business, a customer, another employee, management. So, you know, we're kind of like a show, like I said. So when you're shaking, you know, be animate, smile. People are watching you, you know what I mean? Get up there. I like to say, listen to the drink, you know, put it towards your ear so people can see it, they can hear it, you know what I mean? And be adamant, you know, it's a fun job. And again, you know, when you do it, tap, and if guys got, you know, if it's that hard and frozen and you're tapping and it's not getting off, don't get anxious, okay? Just keep tapping, smile, keep talking to somebody. It's gonna, within 30 seconds, the temp is gonna get to room temperature and you can tap it out and get it out. Do not freak out. Trust me, there's plenty of times that I'm a real bit.
Show me something.
Huh? What was that, Joseph?
I was gonna ask you to show me something, but I locked up.
What did you want me to show you?
I mean, when I shake with the glass, it leaks out sometimes.
Okay. What you need to do is, that's why you gotta, what I showed her before was this. Good way to practice your sealing, okay, is you're gonna take a shaker.
I can't see you right now. I can't see you right now.
Okay. Well, what you're gonna do is basically, I can see you. You're gonna basically drop your glass into your shaker, okay, and you're gonna tap it a couple times on top. A best way to practice that without liquid is basically flip your shaker over, and if the glass can hang there without falling out, you have a good seal. Okay, so practice that a couple times without liquid, of course. Is, you know, just again, drop it in there, tap it, turn around. If it stays there, you have a good seal. And again, when you're shaking, instead of going directly over your shoulder, okay, because if you have a small little leak in there, air pocket, it is going to spill a little bit over there. So what you want to do is compensate, and like I was saying, go towards your ear, okay, upward motion a little bit, okay. So then you're not, the liquid is still shaking, but it's not going to spill over your shoulder because it's not going this way. It's going upwards, okay? And it's still, again, high towards your ear. You can hear it, you know, like I tell people, you smile and people can hear it. My funny joke when I teach students with this is that this is like a cowbell. And what I mean by that is if you're shaking down here or whatever, okay, sometimes between the bodies on the bar or whatever, people might not hear it behind them. But if you raise it high where it's above people and you shake it, as soon as you make that noise with the ice, that noise, oh my God, you'll start seeing people's heads turn. Like, what are they making? What's going on? So it does attract customers when you start shaking. So be adamant, you know, show them that you love what you're doing and they're curious of what you're making there. Again, Joseph, you didn't see it, to unlock it, you can either do gear shift. I prefer tapping until you hear a pop and then you take your glass off.
That's what I was told by my trainer. He told me to tap it.
Yep. But like I said, the best way to practice for you is just empty glass, just drop it in, tap it, and if it can hold there, pretty much got a good seal. Try it with water and then see if it comes up, leaks on you again.
Okay, thanks.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? Anyone? So has anyone started their lessons already?
Yeah, I just started mine. I have a couple questions though.
Sure.
I don't know when I'm supposed to get my kit, and it's according to my online course, the one for the completion certificate,
Uh-huh.
I 100%, but I still owe $100 and I won't be able to pay it till August, so I'm wondering if that's gonna be a problem.
That might be, but that you would have to take up with the HR department. And what I would tell you to do is contact their 1-800 number, and they can give you a definite answer on that one. That is out of my pay scale to know that answer, but my best advice is just to call them directly, that 1-800 number of theirs, and they'll help you out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else started some new classes or in their classes right now? Do you have any questions? Any concerns? Dan, how's it going?
That's going pretty good so far.
Did you start yet?
Yeah. I had an in-person class yesterday.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what part of the lesson were you on? Like, did they show you the dishwares? What'd you get into so far?
Like basically the general bar setup.
Okay.
Yeah, and just going over different pour spouts and yeah, just like when you first come up to the bar, like what you should see, where everything should be, kind of thing.
Yep, everything should be basically hand reach. Remember, the average time from taking an order to making the drink and present it should be within a minute. That sounds very fast, but trust me, in the bar business, a minute is a long time. The only time that rule kind of goes out the window, especially in 2020 with all these specialty cocktail drinks and things like that, if something like that. But your basic drinks like your rum and cokes, your vodka cranberries, your tequila sunrises, things like that, by the time you get your order, you mix it, you shake it, you present it, it should be within a minute. So that's another good thing to practice on your downtime or your off days with your instructor is practice, stopwatch or something, just to be consistent. And again, all you have to do is, with your practice bottles, have a glass, pour some with ice, and then, time yourself on doing that kind of stuff, with your count. That gets you good practice that way. Understand with your pours also that the ones that you get in your kit, okay, those are your standard pours you're going to see at the bars, most bars, only because of cost efficiency. But if you do see the long silver ones, like this one, okay, understand that they're narrower and the holes are smaller and it's going to come out faster. So just be prepared that your count might be a little off when you use these, okay? These are basically the two standard pours you're going to see at most bars, at least where I'm from down the East Coast. These are standards just because of cost efficiency. But when you see something like this one, just be aware that they're going to pour faster. So you might want to practice with some of those if you can get a hold of them too, when you work on your count. Well, good. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All righty. Well, guys, if we have no more questions, I thank you again. Next week will definitely be a little longer because I'm going to break down recipes. I'm going to basically also, like I said, build a drink with that recipe so you can see how to read it, understand it with your pour count. And then we're going to make the drink. I haven't decided what those drinks are going to be yet, but definitely that's a surprise for a guest to want to come back to look for. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do next week, guys. It's build a drink, and from recipe, I'm going to teach you how to read a recipe first, understand a recipe, and then how to adjust it to your pour counts, and then we're going to build that drink. We're going to try to get to 2 of them if we can. So I thank you guys again for coming and stopping by. Have a great day.
I have one question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I just made a couple drinks the other night, and the first My ratio was off. I made too much liquor, not enough mixer. Then I made another one, which was a spiked root beer float, and
Okay.
I only used 4 little shot glasses of whipped vodka with more root beer and vanilla ice cream,
Well,
and that came out smoother than my other one.
well, that I don't know what kind of glass you're using for that second one, but if you use 4 shot glasses of vodka, that's 4 ounces in that drink. That's a lot of alcohol.
That's what
Um,
I need to learn
yeah.
measurements. I need
So
to know.
that's why next week, that's why you should come next week as well, because I'm going to teach you how to read a recipe, and I'm going to teach you how to adjust your pour count to those recipes. Also, if you have not yet, go back to my other Zoom videos previous weeks, and I did a lesson on pouring and counting, and that might help you out to get a little more accuracy and gives you some activities that you can practice at home to become more consistent on your pour count. Those you can find on our Facebook page. Just look back down the thread and you'll see our previous videos on there, and they're all free. So that's
I read that you're only supposed to do 1 ounce of liquor for each drink, except if you're doing like hold on, I wrote it down. I forgot if it's a half an ounce for something. Give me a second.
no worries.
Well, that's weird. I thought I wrote it down. Tall glasses are half an ounce of liquor. Small glasses are 1 ounce.
It all honestly, again, like I'll describe next week, is it all varies on the recipe, and it goes into your dishwares, which is part of the video, the first lesson I gave, and it all varies on bar to bar, to be totally honest with you. Not every bar has the same glasses, not every bar has the same dishes, and but every bar can make the same drink. It's based on what bar, what dishware you're using at your bar. And what I'm going to teach you next week is how to compensate when you see a recipe and how to adjust it to the glassware that you're using for your bar. That's what we're going to go over next week. And I'm going to review for half a second about pouring and our counting, just so we understand when we break down the recipe, what we're talking about numbers wise. So I'm going to review a little bit of that next week as well. But to be real with you, it all varies on the glasses. So like next week's session, we'll probably answer a lot of these questions you have right now. I don't want to give too much away, because then next week will be shorter. So, but basically that's my advice to you, is like, you got to know your pour count first, and it's based on the glasses you're using. And then you can't always use a recipe for what they're saying.
I made my own recipe.
Ingredients.
My own design. I always create my own drinks.
Yeah, and that's practice and error, because I got 7 drinks that I've under my belt as well, and 2 have been published. But and it took me a while just to get that ratio count right. So it's a lot of trial and error, and a lot of nights of bringing friends over so they can have some of your drinks so you don't waste the alcohol. But it's gonna take a while. I don't really know too many people who bartend and who can come up with a drink honestly on the first try and say that it's perfect. It could taste good, but they're always trying to make it better, by adding something or taking something away or substituting something else. So trial and error, that's all I can say to you, is just keep practicing until it comes out to the way you want it. And that might, if it's especially one of your recipes, there's nothing out there, so you gotta adjust it by what tastes better, what's good, and again, what glasses you're putting it in.
Okay,
so,
thanks.
Again, the idea is to keep your customers in their seats, have an enjoyable drink, not have one drink get messed up and then don't drink again. So liquor count and the pouring does matter, and it's the money business for everyone. So the concept is to keep people in their seats, not to only have one drink and leave. So you have to think about that when you make your drinks too. So, something to think about when you're breaking down those recipes and those concepts. That's because you have a lot of liquor, don't mean it's going to be the best seller. It might be your enemy. But yeah, come back next week. We'll definitely go over recipes and all that, and I'm gonna break that down for you guys, and we're gonna start making some drinks. I thank you guys again. If there's any other questions about pouring or about shakers and strainers, if not, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and I will catch you all next week. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you guys.
See you next week.
See ya.